Hi, my name is Amelia and my partner's name is Gon. For our final project in CS 125, we decided to make a mobile version of the game Dance Dance Revolution. So basically, there's a bunch of arrows which move on the screen, and then you're supposed to hit a button which correlates with the arrow that's moving. For the app, we have 4 different songs, each ranging in step difficulty from easy to demonic. And each of them have a different background and different color arrows which move. To demonstrate, I will play the easy and then the demonic so that you could get a sense of the difference between the 2 difficulties. So as soon as you hit the button, you can hear that music actually starts to play. I'll just lower that so you guys can still hear me talk. So in order to make the music play, we had used a media player API, which basically takes an MP3 file and then processes the audio and then places it in Android Studio. And then there's also arrows which move. So if you hit the arrows that correlate with the arrows that are on screen, so I'll do that for a few seconds, and then you click quit, you'll see that it records how many of each arrow you actually hit. There's 2 ways that you could get to this result screen. You can either hit the quit button, which will bring you there, or you can wait until the song is over, in which case it'll bring you to the result screen automatically. The way that we had done this is that we grabbed the duration of the song using the media player API and then called a handler post delayed function on the changing screen's intent. And then there's a return to title button, and then I'll just demonstrate the demonic difficulty. As with most rhythm games, you have to wait a few seconds before there's actually arrows coming up so that you could get a sense of like the BPM and then the rate of the music. As you can see, the difficulty between the 2 charts differs greatly. The way that we had divided the work is that I had done most of the user interface work. So I had designed all the backgrounds, I had made all of the buttons, I made all of the arrows, and basically did all of the Photoshop work. And then Gon had worked more on the timing of the song. So he figured out how to take a beat in a song and then convert it to a position of the song in milliseconds. He figured out when to make the arrows be at the right position in the right time. And then we had worked together on some of the more difficult aspects, such as getting the song to be the same in the steps every time and getting the arrows to actually animate. In order to make the steps the same every time, we actually took a StepMania file called an SSC file. StepMania is basically just a version of the game Dance Dance Revolution, but you can also play it on your computer and you can customize charts. And so we had grabbed that SSC file, in which case it has like already a predetermined way of predetermined arrows. And the way that that is set up is it's 4 numbers and it's 1 if there's an arrow in that direction. So for example, if there's a left arrow, it would be 1 0 0 0. If there's a down arrow, it would be 0 1 0 0, etc., etc. And we had grabbed that SSC file, converted it to a string, and then converted that string into 2 array lists, an array list of string, which tells the direction, and an array list of beats, which tells the current beat of the song. And then we had used those 2 array lists to actually animate the arrows. So basically, to animate them, we had used an animate API, and we figured out the position of the song in order to create a delay. And then we called a handler post delayed function on each of the arrows in order to make them move. And then that handler post delayed function called another function we made called move, which actually takes an arrow and then moves it up on the screen. And one interesting bug that we had actually encountered while doing that is where the arrows would go about halfway through the screen and then disappear on the bottom. So they'd only so they never actually reach the top. The way that we actually fixed that is that we made 7 copies of the same arrow and then had a different arrow called every time as it moved up, so no arrow would ever be called twice within a short enough time for the user to actually notice that an arrow is disappearing in the middle of the screen. So basically, yeah, that's our final project.